Have the markets topped, and have we gone nuts? What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line, and it's always great to be here with you over the weekend and kind of rehash what we saw last week. And of course, if we look at the markets, markets were down again, but not, nothing disastrous. But once again, we've now started to see that rallies are being met with sellers. You saw the best example of that on Friday when the markets were exploding to the upside. The Dow was up almost 300 at one point. Everything was pointing towards positive signs. And of course, what happened? The markets sold all the way back. And in fact, like they say in a horse race, if the race was another furlong, the horse would have lost. If the market was open another hour, this market probably would have been down a bunch, because even after the close, in the aftermarket, markets were still selling off. So it looks to me like we could be finding a little bit of a top here. I think we look to be a seller of rallies right now. I think that you're looking for something that is going to be big here. And again, trying to time it exactly, I don't know. But this is very similar action to the precursor of many other big sell-offs in history. So again, we'll see. Again, we're not going to get crazier, but you did see volatility pick up, and I think that was a very big sign Thursday and Friday, is that volatility was either flat or going higher when it should have been going lower. Hence, the markets had some selling pressure. The NASDAQ and the Russell were under a little bit of pressure as well, which they have been the leaders. Now, again, we could get a bouncer, but we would look at 2740 as a possible spot to sell the S&P. Overall, though, we're looking for a spot to sell now, or we're going to stay on the sidelines. We will not be, buying the general markets here unless there's a good reason. And right now, we see a reason to be a seller of these markets as long as we get into a resistance level or a spot where we think is the right opportunity. We're going to be patient here. Again, it's summer, it's quiet, so we'll watch. Now, we've got jobs number on Friday. We've got the Fed minutes on Thursday. It is a holiday week, and of course, happy Independence Day, happy July 4th to everybody, and thanks to those who gave me my independence. I appreciate it. But we've got, a lot of things going on here and into a short holiday week. Typically in a short holiday week, you can have a couple of things happen. You can have a big up move or a big down move. There's probably going to be some movement. And because the markets are going to be thin, especially when this holiday falls in the middle of the week, it can tend to lead to what we would call some vacuums in the market, either to the upside or the downside. Again, there's really no way to tell. Premiums will be light. Tuesday will be, I'm sure, a total non-event. Wednesday closed. And then Thursday, Friday, most likely, with the exception of the jobs number, there won't be much action. So we'll see how it plays out. But we've now continued to see the markets flatten out, and of course the Dow and the NASDAQ, they're all down this week, but the Dow and the S&P continue to remain under a little bit of pressure. So we'll see what this brings. Oil continues to go and make new highs. Again, this formation is exactly what it was in 2014, and isn't it a coincidence that the last time we were at these high levels was 2014? Now, again, I can't tell you when this is going to happen. And I puked out, as I said. I have a very small short position on oil, but I did puke it out. But I'm telling you, we went from a $3 difference between August and December oil, which meaning December is under August. Now we're at almost a $6 difference. This is pure fear and pure agony that's going on. And of course, you've got some things going on with the governments and with Trump and with Turkey and with everything. And we're trying to cut out Iran. And Turkey says that they're going to defy Trump and will keep importing Iranian crude. Now, again, you're seeing a battle. But on the other hand, Saudi Arabia says they'll pump more if they have to. So you're starting to see some of these cause and effects of what these trade wars and what Trump is trying to do. And I think that he's doing the right thing. Again, you can look at it one of two ways. But considering that we are the biggest economy by over 2 times anybody, and we do control the most, I think it's about time that he did do the right thing. And I think that the trade war, the tariffs, whatever you want to call it, is the right thing to do because it's going to clean up and get rid of it. You know, we're in a situation where we're so set in the way we used to do things, or this is the way we've always done it. And I think this is the problem, okay? There's so much money involved in this trade deal, okay? And not for you and me, not for President Trump, but for the lobbyists and the Congress and the senators that make these bad deals happen. And so they're worried about the money, okay? They're worried about lining their pockets. And that's where you see some of these bigger problems. You listen to them all day long on air about, well, why this is bad, why is that bad? Why is it bad? Because it's going to take money out of their pocket and put it back into our pocket and I think make things better. Now, I know we've talked about this, you know, for quite a while. And, you know, it hasn't gotten all that much worse. I mean, you know, the biggest concern would be the farmers and the ag products. And again, they're down, but they're no lower than they were a year ago, okay? And they're coming from a big rally. Now, we had a grain report which was bearish on Friday anyways, and yet we did rally a little bit on Friday with the exception of soybeans. But I believe that this is going to work out much better for the American farmer when it's all said and done, because what I really believe is going to happen is that we're going to get rid of these quotas. We're going to get rid of these tariffs. We're going to get rid of everything that goes along with it, and that brings back a true free market. And that's what we're really looking for, is free and fair trade, not the crap that we get right now. I don't see it, and I think that you're looking at the wrong situation, because the only true benefactors of these tariffs and what's going on is the money that these guys make for making these deals, and they're making bad deals. That's my opinion. Again, I'm not telling you that that's the way it should be, but that is my opinion. And I go back, you can go back to Smoot-Hawley, and everyone wants to refer to the problems, but when it's all said and done, if we get a free market, wouldn't that be better? Okay, a free and fair market where there isn't deals going back and forth. I mean, I can't tell you how many times when I used to export goods and some of the companies that I owned, the problems that we used to have. Okay, so I think that will clean out, and that should work out pretty well. Okay, now I think some of the other things that we're looking at here is the collapsing and the inverting of the yield curve. Now that is short-term rates to long-term rates. And we inverted last week for a couple of days, I believe, and of course we're flattening. But again, this is a similar formation to oil. Okay, do you think that 2-year rates should be higher than 10-year rates, and 10-year rates be higher than 30-year rates? I mean, obviously that's not the right formation either. I mean, the longer you borrow money, the more you should have to pay for it. And of course, that's not the natural law and order of the markets. And I think this is, again, where you start to see a problem. Now, does it mean that tomorrow is going to be a recession? No. What it means is that there are things that are setting up that are not in very good shape. It means that there's a lot of big problems out there. And you're seeing it in the way the banks are trading. Okay, you're seeing it in the way the bank stocks are trading. They have had some issues here. And I think Goldman Sachs is on 5-month lows. So there's a lot of problems here that are not being discussed because we want to continue to ignore the debt cycle. We want to continue to ignore a lot of the things that are happening. And this is one of the issues that we have to understand, okay, that it's not going to work out if we don't just take care of business the way it is. And I think that is something that we have to understand when we look at things, is that, hey, this is a problem, and we've got some problems, okay? Which I think this is one of the reasons, you know, we've seen the cryptocurrencies hover around, not doing a lot, kind of hovering towards the low end of the recent ranges. Now, if you believe in the free market, then you are potentially a believer in the cryptocurrencies. Now, I think that this has worked out very well. I think they've built one heck of a base here. And again, I'm telling you straight up, I'm involved. I have not made any money, okay? But I'm staying involved, and I'm buying more because I believe that this is the financial revolution that we've talked about. This is America's way and the world's way of saying We're tired of the central bank's manipulation. We're tired of all these bad deals that everybody makes because of it. And again, which one is going to be successful? I have no idea. My guess is that the main names you hear around will be around for a long time. But some of the others, I mean, I think there's, I don't know, 2,100 coins or whatever it happens to be. But I think this is a great opportunity for an investor. If you missed the 10-year bull market in equities, this could be an opportunity. Now, again, I'm not telling you to take all your money and put it in there. A small percentage, 1%, 2%, 3% of what you've got. But it doesn't take a lot. If you're buying some coins that are inexpensive, okay, that you believe you've done your homework and you believe there's a legitimate chance that they can go higher, then I think that is the opportunity that you have, okay? And I mean, I give full disclosure. I own some EOS, I own some Bitcoin, I own some Ethereum, I own some IOTA, and I own some BitShares, okay? And I'll probably buy a couple of others. You know, I just throw in a little bit here and there when it looks like the time is right. And again, to me, this is part of the free market revolution, the financial revolution we're having. And we'll talk about what might be the fighting revolution in my commentary. But we've said for years that there would be some sort of a revolution. And I believe this is the financial revolution that we're starting to see, okay? And I think this is one of the things, this is the beauty about the cryptocurrency world is they're totally free markets. There isn't somebody telling Saudi Arabia that they got to produce more oil. This is a true supply-demand, price discovery model with no outside interference. You turn on your computer, you want to buy some, you can go buy it. There's not somebody dictating what the price is going to be. The only thing is the buyer and the seller, and the buyer and the seller have to meet to exchange wealth. That is true price discovery. But I think you're starting to see the real world and the real setup here of trying to get to free markets. If you tie that together with the free market of what President Trump is trying to do with the trade wars and the tariffs, that puts them together. That takes all the lobbyists, that takes all the phony hands, that takes all the crooks out of play, okay? Because that's what you're going to see. And that's why you want a true free market, okay? And that's why you want to allow the free markets to come back instead of allowing all these people that have only their interests at heart to control the free markets. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. We're going to step out here for a break, and we'll be back with more of Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. Remember, everybody, check out our high school investing program, highschoolinvesting.com. Again, we're trying to make this thing go. This is our 9th year, but we are running out of funds. And again, I cannot, well, I could, but I will no longer support it by myself. I've done a lot of educating. We've had 600 high schools involved. And at some point, we need some help. And thank you to those who've already helped at patreon.com/trading, Bubba Trading. In the meantime, it's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. If you'd like to help us, and I thank everybody who's already helped so far, but we're coming to a point where, again, all the new bills are getting due again for the new school season. So if you'd like to help, great. Thank you so much. And of course, don't forget to get to the Bubba Show every day from 4 to 5 Eastern at libertytalk.fm. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line. And welcome back to Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz with you. And of course, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the world, and there is some growth going on. Again, I'm not going to knock. I don't agree with everything we see. I don't agree with the economy, that everything is so hunky-dory and so great. But there are some good things happening, and there are some jobs being created. I mean, my daughter just went to work. She got a job right out of college. Boom, and a week out, she's already got a job and had 5 offers to go, and they were good offers. So there are some things that are good, okay? But I think that we're masking a lot of the problems. And one of the problems is that if you live in San Francisco and you make $117,000 a year, you can qualify for some low-income support. Okay, you can qualify for some poverty benefits. Now, again, $117,000 qualifying for poverty benefits? I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. But I think what you're starting to see now here is there's a big shortage in some fields, one of them being truckers. Now, truckers are really short and they're hard to find, which is what's that really going to do? That's going to raise the cost of shipping. That's going to raise the cost of freight, which is going to raise the cost of your goods. So you can listen to everybody talk about, well, the trade wars are going to cost you more money, But the bottom line is the freight companies are going to cost you more money, because with all the new laws and new restrictions and with these computerized logbooks, you know, and I'm not saying that I back truckers driving extra overtime, because obviously it's dangerous. But for years, they used to drive more than they were supposed to because there wasn't as much of an easy way to check on them. And now, okay, they're strict. So you're going to see a slowdown in the freight movement in this country, which is going to increase the cost of goods. Okay, it's very simple. It's a very simple math problem. But one of the problems is that, of course, the wages that you get paid to be an over-the-road trucker to start out with are not very good in considering to what the demand that there's out there. I think the starting wage somewhere is around 45 or 50,000, which is a nice earning wage, except that, you know, if you've got to be away from your family, if you've got to be on the road, you know, it takes its toll on you. So I think they've got to have to step up. If they want to create more jobs, I think they have to step up. And of course, you know, I think that, again, you're seeing this in a lot of job markets, which is a good thing, but you've got to bring along the benefits that go along with these jobs. And of course, with all the pension problems in the world and the pensions falling, it could be a problem. And these are things that are very important to understand. So when we look at the true free market economy, okay, back to free markets, notice how we got there, the companies are going to have to pay the truckers more money, which means that you and I are going to have to pay more money. Now, that has nothing to do with trade wars. So we can blame it on trade wars, but at the end of the day, it's a supply-demand issue in the United States of America, because even if we had free goods from China, they still got to be shipped from the ports. That's the bottom line. So you've got an issue here that is probably going to become a much bigger issue, but we'll see how it trades out. And we'll see how it plays out. I think what you're going to see is we're going to see higher paying jobs, which is a good thing. It would be about time that these big companies that have made so much profit, okay, that they started to share some with their employees. I think that's one of the things we look at. And of course, somebody who's been liking to share profits or losses is Einhorn. Smart guy, but his hedge fund, Greenlight, has been, you know, getting beat up pretty good, and they're now down 19%. Okay, I mean, again, this is the problem when you decide that you are bigger than the market and that you're smarter than the market. And I can tell you that I know that for a fact because I've done it. Okay, I've thought and done things that I thought I was bigger and smarter than the market, and of course, the markets are always right. So I think that's something to watch out for, and I think this is when you start to see the beginning of the end. And again, let's be clear. I'm a believer in the U.S. equity market long term. The markets will go up 8% year over year. And I hedge my positions, but even if I didn't hedge, if I was buying good companies, I wouldn't sell. I would not try to trade around my positions because, again, this goes back to the theory, if I knew when to switch, then I would be a genius, and I'm not that smart. And I think that you stay with your positions, because if you're investing money that you're not going to need tomorrow, then you should never panic. Because in history, we've seen that the real panic is when people panic and they drop the markets dramatically. So I think that this goes back to that if you're in the market, you should not get out if you're in good, solid companies. I mean, if you're gambling with wild stocks or with a lot of things, well, then that's something different. But if you're investing in like dividend-paying stocks or good things that are good, solid companies, you know, let's say for today, it's Apple, it's Boeing, any of those companies, then you should just hold them. Okay, and go through the suffering and not try to time the market. But again, you can see a lot of problems, and one of them is real spending is flat. Okay, and revisions were lowered from April. So another issue that tells us that there's some things going on that are not really in the right way, and we're not seeing the proper growth. Housing is starting to have a little bit of trouble now. Okay, now even with the low rates, we're seeing some problems in housing. And I don't see why this is such a great ordeal, okay, when, again, should not be a surprise. We have built the last 10 years of this bull market. Listen, there's been some great growth, okay? There's been some good things happen. But this has been built on what? It's been built on the free money. It's been built by the Federal Reserve, who has no idea of what's going to happen next. Ask them if they see a recession. They'll tell you 10 years from now, oh yeah, that was a recession in 2018. And I'm not saying it's in 2018. I'm just saying that is what you'll get from the Federal Reserve. They have no understanding of how the markets actually function. They only understand theory of how things are supposed to happen. But if we go back to theory and see how the middle class has been destructed by their ridiculous, imbecilic theory, okay, well, you can see what has happened here. And I think that this is one of the bigger problems that we need to understand, is that there's some real problems out there, okay? There are still not enough people making enough money. There are still not enough benefits out there, okay, with this Obamacare and with the healthcare system. Now, why is it so hard to put together a good healthcare program? This is one of the things that I find frustrating. But one of the reasons is why is because these greedy, you-know-what people aren't getting enough out of it. So if you don't, look at the profits from the insurance companies, look at the profits from the medical field, okay? Look at the profits from all those people, because they keep cutting back on the insurance. Now, to me, there should be a way to work this out where everybody makes money and everybody's happy, okay? But again, we go back to the greed factor with all these things. And this is the problem when you don't allow insurance to cross state lines. This is the problem when you put together these stupid packages, okay? There should be a program that everybody should be insured from the time they're 21. And I'm not talking about national insurance or social insurance, but you get a job, part of it should be benefits, okay? Now, I understand part of the problem is always those pre-existing conditions. You want to give away some welfare or some benefits, some government benefits, then you subsidize the people that have pre-existing conditions. But if once you're 21 or whatever the age is when you're no longer covered, then you should be insured automatically through your job. And if you don't have a job, then you have to find a way to get insurance. But there should be a way to put this all together and eliminate the pre-existing, eliminate all these things, and eliminate that big tax, which I know that Trump continues to talk about, with the insurance. But again, insurance has gone to be out of control. And unfortunately, in today's world, I mean, listen, it costs my family over $25,000 a year for health insurance. And it's a lot of money between property tax and health insurance and a couple other things. It becomes a joke. We need to do a better job. We need to get this resolved. We need to take care of this, and we need to take a break. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. We're going to step out of a break, and we'll be back with my commentary after the break. And of course, as I do at every break, I remind you about our high school investing program, and certainly we could use your help if you'd like to help us out at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. And also, don't forget to check out the Bubba Show every single day from 4 to 5 Eastern at libertytalk.fm. That's our radio station, great station. It's got a lot of content, 24-hour-a-day programming, so check it out. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line. Welcome back to Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz with you, and of course, every week I get to give my commentary. Of course, I kind of give it all the way through, but this is my extra piece of commentary, and, I don't know. I asked in the opening, has America gone nuts? Okay, this is the Independence Day week, Independence holiday, and we are obviously very fortunate to be Americans, to be free, to have had people fight and take their lives for our freedom. But when you say, have we gone nuts? I mean, if we look at the events of the last couple of weeks, Sarah Sanders getting thrown out of a restaurant because she works for Donald Trump. Maxine Waters talking stupidity, okay? Ridiculous stupidity, trying to promote violence, okay? I think there was a quote, the last I saw, you better shoot straight. I mean, do we really mean to want to create violence in this country? Are we not separated enough? We have our independence, and we have a constitution. And you know what? You get to vote. So in this particular election, President Donald Trump, which was already 2 years ago, won the election. it behooves the American people to support that president until. Now, of course, we've got the new battle coming up with the Supreme Court. Justice Kennedy retired. And of course, one of the things of who's in office, they get to appoint. And I think the Supreme Court has obviously become far too political. Okay. I think there needs to be a better way to be done. And I think that, but in the meantime, so we know that we're going to get a conservative justice. And we know that unless the Republicans side against Donald Trump, waiting for the election, we're going to get one relatively quickly, should get it before the midterms. But I'm hoping that we get a good candidate of the Supreme Court, okay? But what I'm really tired of hearing is the left. I've seen a few interviews over the weekend talking about, well, how can Donald Trump get to pick another Supreme Court justice? He may have to go before the Supreme Court before his criminality for what he's done wrong. So how can he appoint his own convictor? And again, I don't understand what happened to us as Americans. I understand there was a lot of things over history that were not always right in the right way. But here we are, it's 2018. We have independence. We've got a country that's prospering. And yet we've got all these people trying to rock the boat. The Bill Mayors of the world trying to pray for a recession so Trump can be replaced. The Maxine Waters telling everybody to harass Republicans that work for Trump. I forget the guy's name, but he's an ass anyway. So, but we'll figure it out later. But in the meantime, one after another, and of course, you have an incident in Canada where another guy got thrown out with a "Make America Great Again" hat on. Have we lost our mind? I mean, is this what we want as a country? To have constant fighting and constant battles? I thought we finally won the war against problems. Listen, we know there's always going to be some racism no matter what you do. We know there's going to be people against everybody no matter what you do. But here is our politicians that are promoting these problems. Don't you find a problem with political people trying to promote hatred among Americans? Doesn't it seem to be the dumbest thing ever that a politician would want to promote hate and anger and disruption, which would create more of the same? Have we not learned that we have our independence and that this is Independence Day week, that we can live together and actually improve everybody's lives? I mean, I don't understand it. I'm going to let it go at that. But I got to tell you one thing. It sure is dumb. It sure is ridiculous. And I got news for you. I'm sick of it. But I want to wish all of you a happy Independence Day. And I want to salute the families of the soldiers that gave us our independence. Obviously, I know it's a long time ago, but there is some lineage. But in the meantime, our soldiers that are still here today fighting to keep us free. Happy Independence Day. Happy July 4th. Everybody have a great week. And as always, I thank you for tuning in to Bubba's Bottom Line. Have a great weekend. Happy 4th, everybody. We'll see you later.